And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Niger's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. We begin today's package with a follow-up on the controversy trailing the lopsided appointments into strategic positions of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, in the Niger Delta. Next in our lineup is a special report on the outrage state of affairs in the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, for which the Commission's interim management and the National Assembly are currently trading blames. And to wrap it up in today's package, we bring you a report on the federal government's recent move to complete the East-West Road reconstruction project. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. The recent rejection of the lopsided composition of the governing board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, as well as appointments into the corporation's strategic positions by the Pan-Niger Delta Forum PANDEV is still generating more reactions in the Niger Delta. In his reaction, King Bubaraye Dakolo Agada IV, the Ibenanawe of Ekpetiama Kingdom, maintained that the appointments in the NNPC have been skewed in favor of the North as a deliberate policy to continue to dominate and control what is generally known and referred to as Nigeria's single largest cash cow.
Some section of the country have the oil blocks. They find their way and enter the NNPC. They are not doing much there. They just occupy positions to ensure that we do not get the best out of all of these processes. Countries that move forward ensure that they get their best brains. It doesn't matter if they're from the same womb, but best brains, not just people for the sake of completing the square. That is what we have in NNPC. Some of the best brains are from the Niger Delta. So if you have 20 top people, what they have simply done is that this place has a lot of money, so let me put John there and then put his sister there and put so that nobody else comes to see the secret of the place. That's what they've been doing with the Petroleum Ministry too. So that is the kind of nonsense in NNPC, and we condemn it. I joined PANDEF to condemn it. It's the worst thing that has happened to this country. Those people do not have any more competence than anyone else. In fact, they're incompetent. That's why they are there. The NNPC is a house, an enclave for incompetence. That is why you have pollution everywhere. That is why nothing is going on. That is why the IOCs are taking us for a ride. You drill, you report what you want to report, you sell to your sister, you report what you want to report, and then you sell again to your government. That's what they've been doing. So that is the kind of NNPC that they've been keeping on. So I think that with this call, the president, if he didn't know about it, should act on it. The National Assembly and everyone else should condemn it, and they must change and bring a balance. More so, it's about our own oil. Because if you don't do it correctly, we get the pollution, right? So let us do it. And if we want to pollute ourselves, let us do so. But you cannot be in charge. You never come here. Most of them have not heard the word Foropa before. They've not heard the word Kulama. Okay? They probably came once in 2012 when that Chevron explosion took place. And since then, they've not been here again. So their stakes in the Niger Delta is almost nothing. As far as they are concerned, the Niger Delta is a business enclave for them. So it's to kill and divide. And so let them listen to PANDEF and make these adjustments. Now that some of these unorthodox ways of calling for equity are downplayed, and we're asking for legal and sophisticated advocacy, they should not provoke, they should not shake the nests, okay, the beehive. Because if some other persons feel that, okay, now that no one is listening, because if the civilized way of dialogue is not working, if you make dialogue impossible, if you make the ballot impossible, you probably may get a bullet. So while some of us condemn the violent agitations, The system cannot throw out that by their is it misdemeanor or whatever. Okay, they cannot do that because what they are doing is actually trying to promote that.
Inside the Niger Delta.
For his part, a frontline civil rights activist in the Niger Delta, Dr. Jackson Omenazu, advised President Muhammadu Buhari to relinquish his position as Minister of Petroleum Resources to a Niger Deltan. He said such a gesture will assuage the marginalized region and give Mr. President ample time to attend to more important issues of state.
NNPC is a corporation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But we must bear in mind that if the oil is not flowing from Niger Delta, NNPC has no business. Completely. And he that you harvest yam from his farm should not eat the peels. So I believe that, sincerely speaking, Mr. President should look into the appointment of the Niger Delta. They should look into what is going on in NNPC, and if possible, relinquish the position of the Minister for Petroleum and appoint a Niger Delta person to take charge. That would help in assuaging the Niger Delta people. I don't even see why Mr. President should still occupy the position of the Minister for Petroleum when there is a series and marriage of political issues to be tackled by the presidency. You don't need to be a minister to get these things going. Because being Minister for Petroleum is even distractive to my own understanding. You need to concentrate on the political issues confronting the country and then issue out orders and instructions based on the constitution of the country and watch the country depart from a country and enter a nation. That's what we expect.
Inside the Niger Delta.
And to further give Nigeria's oil-producing region a sense of belonging in the NNPC, President General of the Isoko National Youth Assembly, Umwakpo Ovie, called on the corporation to revisit its recruitment policy that has been skewed in disfavor of the Niger Delta over the years.
If you look at the recent recruitment that was carried out in NNPC and its subsidiary, it also reflects an attempt to continue to have their people perpetually, in NNPC and its subsidiary, preparing them to take over from them in the future. So, as far as NNPC and its subsidiaries are concerned, the northern hegemony have already prepared a succession plan for the future. And we, as people of Niger Delta region, we say no to it strongly. And we are therefore calling on Mr. President and the government to urgently look into the genuine concerns that have been raised by the people of Niger Delta. We cannot house crude oil and gas with which Nigeria survives. And you have people from North manage NNPC and its subsidiary from top to bottom. We are saying no to it. They have decided to disregard totally the principle of federal character. They have also decided to disregard totally the Local Content Act, and we say no to it.
Inside the Niger Delta.
In the meantime, former Minister of Housing, Chief UNDESS, has asked federal lawmakers from the Niger Delta to rise to the occasion at such a time that their constituents were being reduced to socio-economic irrelevance in the country.
Those who own the oil wells in Nigeria are not people from the Niger Delta. That is now reflecting in appointments, because those who own the oil or those who own the oil wells bring in their people to work in the industry, and they are the ones who grow from the ranks to the top. So since we who bear the oil are not involved at the various stages of recruitment, that is why at the top level we are not seen. It is a very sad situation and quite an explosive one that should be handled carefully. Of recent, you will hear that a Niger Delta person is the Minister of State for Petroleum. But the overall minister always happens to be the president. And the president is not from the oil producing area of the country. And so the interest of the president is to bring people from his area to come and manage the industry. So we would expect that our members in the National Assembly should be more up and doing. They should bring out these fallacies, because we have elected them to represent us. And I'm saying so because between 1999 and 2007, members of the National Assembly from the South-South region were very active, pursuing their rights and getting them. That is why we were able to move a little up. But of recent, when membership of the National Assembly and other political appointments are based on selection by the governors, we are not able to have the best representation at those positions.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Pandev had, in a recent press statement, demanded that in addition to overhauling the governing board and top management cadre of the NNPC, the office of Group Managing Director should be reserved for the Niger Delta region, as was the norm in the past. Some Niger Delta activists have pitched tent with the interim management of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, and Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, in their fray with members of the National Assembly over alleged contract scams perpetrated in the region over the years. While they do not hold the entire National Assembly culpable for the underdevelopment of the Niger Delta, the activists insist that the leaders of his committees with oversight functions on the NDDC have a case to answer in the alleged contract scams. Correspondent Kenami Ofori has the report.
In the midst of an ongoing forensic audit ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari to investigate the financial situation of the NDDC from its inception in 2002 to 2019, the National Assembly recently instituted a parallel probe of the commission. The lawmakers had sought to investigate an alleged misappropriation of 40 billion naira by the Professor Keme Bradikumo Pondey-led interim management of the NDDC. Professor Pondey, however, dismissed the legislative probe as a calculated attempt to distract public attention and derail the ongoing forensic audit ordered by Mr. President. He had accused leaders of two committees vested with oversight functions on the NDDC of frustrating prompt passage of the Commission's 2019 budget, which they padded with several inconsequential projects for pecuniary gains.
There's too much corruption in the system. If they don't come to the National Assembly to pledge loyalty or to pay one honorarium or the other, projects will not fly, budgets will not fly.
In his reaction, Senate Committee Chairman on Niger Delta, Senator Peter Nwoboshi, decided to cross swords with Senator Godswill Akpabio, whose ministry supervises the NDDC. According to Senator Nwoboshi, Akpabio inserted projects worth 500 million naira into the 2017 NDDC budget while he served as Senate Minority Leader.
I was the chairman of this Senate committee in the 8th Assembly. Godswill Akpabio, the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, was a member of this committee. He served in this committee. This is a letter from him and many other letters requesting inclusion of contracts. This is a letter, Dr. Godswill Akpabio, memo to me as a member of this committee in the 8th Assembly. This is a letter from him.
Responding, Senator Akpabio's Chief Press Secretary, Aniete Ekong, described the allegation as baseless and said Akpabio would have failed in his duties if in the Senate he did not try to influence projects to his constituency. The same allegation also prompted a quick response from the NDDC, which maintained that there was no evidence of any contract awarded to Senator Akpabio in its records. In a recent statement signed by its Director of Corporate Affairs, Charles Odili, the Commission averred that from our findings, the person who has questions to answer to the Niger Delta people is Senator Nwoboshi. Our records show that Senator Nwoboshi used 11 front companies owned or traceable to him to secure a contract of 3.6 billion naira in September 2016 in what is perhaps the biggest single case of looting the Commission's resources. It was further observed in the statement that some items supplied under the contract were diverted and sold to Delta states while the rest was sold to other states. Describing the allegation as false and malicious, Senator Nwoboshi, through his lawyers G.A. Imoma and Co., said he had been exposed to contempt and his estimation lowered in the minds of right-thinking members of the public. He had therefore demanded, among other things, a retraction of the press statement by NDDC and the payment to him of the sum of 1 billion naira as damages. In their independent assessment of the situation, several groups in the Niger Delta have equally dismissed Senator Nwoboshi's allegation against Senator Akpabio as a face-saving measure taken to conceal the role of federal lawmakers in the emasculation of the NDDC and impoverishment of the Niger Delta region. In a June 2020 press statement signed by its Secretary General, Tony Oranta, the United Niger Delta Energy Security Strategy, UNDESS, had observed that the National Assembly has for decades had knees on the throat and chest of the Niger Delta, thus choking the region, whilst enabling some members of both chambers to corruptly enrich themselves and impoverish the region for years. Interestingly, this is the position of several other groups and individuals at the forefront of a campaign to rescue the NDDC from the siege of federal legislators.
Senator Peter Nwwoboshi, the senator that came that has so many opportunities to develop the Niger Delta. As a senator that have served for over many years, he should go back to the drawing board to check his record. What has he done for the Niger Delta? You've not removed the speck in your eye, and you are going to remove the speck in the eyes of the next person.
We saw that the place was losing focus and that the managers of the place were going contrary. It became a cash cow for a few politicians. It became a drain pipe, and our people were suffering. The whole thing was being hijacked by a few, politicians, people in the National Assembly. Many of them followed in what, snowballed into Mr. President when the governors now went, agreeing to set up this forensic audit.
Section 7 of the NDDC Act empowers the Commission to conceive and execute projects and programs to address multifaceted problems plaguing the region, some of which are environmental degradation, health challenges arising from severe and constant hydrocarbon pollutions, widespread poverty, as well as insecurity and political tension. With most of the problems facing the region still left largely unaddressed some 20 years after the NDDC was established, there is a general consensus among Niger Deltans that the Commission has recorded an abysmal failure on its mandate as an intervention agency. It is for this reason they welcome the forensic audit ordered by President Buhari to revamp the ailing Commission. They would therefore want the leadership of the National Assembly to prevail on its members who have been linked directly or indirectly to acts of malfeasance in the NDDC to subject themselves to public scrutiny rather than obstruct the ongoing forensic audit that is in place to retool the Commission's processes and revive it to begin to deliver on its mandate.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. We are charting the direction for our maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are NIMASA. New face, rejuvenated service. NIMASA. Changing the tides in your favor.
The Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs is now set to commence work on the completion of the East-West Road reconstruction project. This follows President Muhammadu Buhari's approval of a request by the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, for the National Sovereign Investment Authority NSIA to transfer the sum of almost 20 billion naira to its ministry for work to commence on sections 1 to 4 of the East-West Road. Correspondent Lovely Ofigo has more.
Owing to the dilapidated state of the long-abandoned East-West Road, the government of President Olusegun Obasanjo in 2006 awarded a contract for its rehabilitation and reconstruction. The project was to be delivered in 2010 but could not be completed due to lack of funds to finance it. In 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari transferred the project funding to the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund (PIDF) under the National Sovereign Investment Authority (NSIA). In its determination to bring the project to its logical conclusion, the Buhari government parted ways with the sum of 16 billion naira as historical debts to contractors and made an additional release of 20 billion naira to the NSIA for the completion of sections 1 to 4 of the road. Following the release of funds, the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Akpabio, summoned a meeting of the NSIA and contractors handling the East-West Road to facilitate payments and resumption of work on the road.
This is a renewed commitment on our part. Mr. President is totally committed to ensuring the completion of this project. He didn't start it, but he's doing it in many other projects, and the East-West Road cannot be an exception. We expect a very high quality job from you, no cutting of corners, so that we can deliver not just on time, but we can deliver quality infrastructure that will last the test of time.
However, between March and June this year, work could not resume as the NSIA was reportedly insisting on tolling the road as a commercial investment, a situation which did not go down well with Senator Akpabio. Worried about the worsening condition of the East-West Road, Senator Akpabio had approached the presidency to effect a transfer of the 20 billion naira earmarked for its rehabilitation from the NSIA to his ministry, a request which the presidency approved last week. Even before a proper recommencement of the construction work and sorting out of all contractual issues, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, under the supervision of Godswill Akpabio, has directed contractors handling the project to immediately commence remediation work on badly damaged sections of the road stretching from Kayama to Port Harcourt. Senator Akpabio's action is in response to the plight of those plying the East-West Road on a daily basis.
It has really been frustrating. Like since morning we left because of the bad road. We are supposed to go and come back very early, but you can see now we are coming back, and even to go back is a problem. And I hope the construction company will be able to work fast so that people can actually enjoy their transportation moving and coming back.
A very welcome development. I'm even surprised to see them working. Because I was already contemplating on how we are going to pass through the same stress I passed through last week. So for now, I think it's a very welcome development. You see, the car is stuck, and it's terrible. It's terrible. So for them coming to intervene at this time, I think it's a very good thing.
Contractors handling sections 1 to 4 of the East-West Road reconstruction project have 3 weeks to complete remediation work on its badly damaged spots to make it motorable in the meantime.
And based on the directions given to us by His Honorable Minister Akpabio, we have initiated the repair works of all these sections spanning from here after Imbiama Bridge to a few kilometers in front. By accomplishing this project, the traffic will flow again in normal condition. All these areas that you see here will be filled, will be compacted properly, the work will be executed properly, and hopefully and surely the trust of these lovely people will be gained again.
As President Buhari stated in his June 12 Democracy Day broadcast, the East-West Road, which will be completed by the end of 2021, is top on his agenda for the overall development of the Niger Delta.
We have restored peace in the Niger Delta region and maintain our oil production levels. The funding of section 1 to 4 of the East-West Road shall be pursued with a view to completing the project by the end of 2021.
In furtherance of his administration's policy to provide a conducive atmosphere for development to thrive in the Niger Delta, President Buhari also restated his commitment to the successful conduct of an ongoing forensic audit of the NDDC, whose corporate headquarters in Port Harcourt will be commissioned in no distant time.
The head office of the Niger Delta Development Commission will be commissioned shortly. Furthermore, I am determined to ensure that development meant for the people of the Niger Delta get to them, so I have authorized a forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission.
The East-West Road connects virtually all states in the Niger Delta by road and provides access to critical national assets in the region. When completed, it is expected to transform the region's economic landscape and indeed the economies of other regions that are dependent on the nation's crude oil and gas hub for their survival.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, that's where we draw the curtain on the program for today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until next week, remember to always wash your hands, maintain proper hygiene, and keep safe social distance to avoid contracting the deadly coronavirus disease. My name is Mamode Akugha. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.